Hi, I'm Paul Begley, and this is a tough call. But the former Prime Minister of Iraq, Tarig Aziz, has been sentenced to death by hanging by a Iraqi high tribunal court. Now let me just read to you from the Associated Press. This is difficult because Tarig Aziz, he was the spokesperson. He was the face. He was the one that actually met face-to-face with Secretary of State James Baker in Geneva. He also was instrumental trying to divert the war. He even met with Pope John Paul II. He was looking for a way to prevent his country from having to go to war. Now, I understand that Iraq had invaded Kuwait, and he was the face then. And then when it came time for this invasion of Iraq after 9/11, he was, again, the face of Saddam Hussein's regime. Does that mean he's guilty of everything that Saddam was doing? No. Does it mean he approved of everything Saddam Hussein did? Absolutely not. If you work for the United States federal government, you don't approve everything decision that's made. I know that. But when asked to carry out a deadly order, where it means the massacring of hundreds, dozens, thousands of innocent people, you have to ask yourself the question, is this the appropriate action? In some cases, it may be. It may be because of the circumstance of the war. You may have to take violent measures to prevent a violent nation like Germany was under Adolf Hitler, or Italy was under Mussolini, or Japan was under the Emperor of Japan. And in some cases, I would say many of you that are watching this video, Muslim countries, may feel you have to take drastic, violent measures toward the United States. And you make that decision. But let's read on. I want to read to you the Associated Press, their take on Tarig Aziz. Real quick here. Here we go. In Baghdad today, the international face of Saddam Hussein's regime, Tarig Aziz, was sentenced to death by hanging. They're so... I give these guys credit. When they do an execution, they do it so that it strikes fear, so you think twice about going against them. He's sentenced to death by hanging Today he was sentenced for persecuting Shiites just over 3 months after the Americans transferred him to the Iraqi government custody. So he's been under American custody since we invaded Iraq in 2003. For the last 7 years, we've had him in custody. We turned him over to the Iraqi government 3 months ago. They've tried him, and they've sentenced him to be hung. No questions asked. The Iraqi High Tribunal spokesman, Mohammed Abdul Shahid, and he's a Muslim, obviously. He did not say when the 74-year-old former foreign minister would go to the gallows, but that Aziz has 30 days to launch an appeal. Now, this is the key point I'm going to make today. Aziz is the only Christian in Saddam's mainly Sunni inner circle. He's the only Christian in the bunch. He was, and that's why he was involved in the carrying out of the atrocities. He wasn't tagging along with Houday and Qusay, Saddam's sons, when they were raping women, pulling them out of their homes, murdering people, butchering people in prisons, cutting legs off and genitals, cutting throats, beheading people, beating people. No. Tarig Aziz was not a part of these atrocities. He was the face of his government. He met with other governments trying to find the diplomatic resolutions to protect his people. Was he privy to what was going on? I would say he probably was. What does he do? Does he not do it? Does he go ahead and get executed by Saddam then, or does he wait to be hung now? That's really probably his choice, wasn't it? Let's read on. Anyway, he was the only Christian in Saddam's mainly Sunni inner circle, and he was wearing a blue suit. He sat alone in the court. He bowed his head, and he frequently grasped the handrails in front of him as the judge read out his verdict. Now, his Jordan-based lawyer accused the government of obstructing and orchestrating a verdict to divert attention from the recent revelations about the prisoner abuse by Iraqi security forces contained in the United States military and the documents which were released last week by whistleblower site WikiLeaks. So we're discussing this issue, what next step we should take, said his lawyer. And he told the Associated Press in Amman, Jordan, which is the capital, that this sentence is not fair and it is totally politically motivated. And who's surprised by that? Sometimes lambs are led to slaughter. Okay? Now, Tarig Aziz became internationally known as the dictator's defender and fierce American critic, first as the foreign minister, and then after Iraq's invasion of Kuwait in 1990, and later a deputy prime minister. His meeting he did have with Secretary of State, as I said earlier, James Baker in Geneva, was in January of 1991. It failed to prevent the 1991 Gulf War. Also, Tarig Aziz met with Pope John Paul II in the Vatican, trying to prevent the invasion of America after 9/11 in March of 2003. So there you go. I mean, what do we do? He didn't go around. I mean, he wasn't with Chemical Ali when they were destroying the Kurds up in the north part of Iraq. He wasn't in the firing squads, firing and shooting the people. He wasn't carrying out the orders directly from Saddam Hussein to go and butcher the people that were political enemies to Saddam. He wasn't involved with the massive rapes and murders of Saddam's sons, Uday and Qusay. But he was the face of that government. He was the political face. He was the one that tried to compromise and tried to divert the attention away from Saddam's regime. And for that, should he be put to death? Or should the old man be allowed to live in prison until his last dying days? Well, I'm going to let you decide. How's that? Is he guilty? I think he's guilty, yes. He defended it'd be like being the press secretary for Adolf Hitler. But is he deserving of death? Or was he caught in the middle of a no-win situation where he either does his job, or he's beheaded, or he does his job and later he's hanged? I mean, I'm going to let you decide. Make the comments. Should Tarig Aziz be hung? Should he be hung? Let me hear from you. I'm Paul Begley. The Bible does say, judgment is mine, thus saith the Lord. I will repay.